Well, welcome back yet again. We are excited that it is getting close to such a patriotic season in our country. And so we thought we would focus on some films that are appropriate for that. My name is Devorah Governale.
And I'm Carrie Parker.
So we thought we would share at least parts of the film of Independence Day that we love so much. It has been a classic for over 30 years. I remember being a teen I was visiting my auntie's house in Daytona. We actually didn't live in Florida yet, but it was such a huge release. I just remember being such a big deal.
It was a huge deal.
Yeah, I remember just like being so excited, so many big names, getting to see all the new special effects and everything that was a part of that. And since then, it's really become quite a bit of a cult classic. It's something that I feel like you see a lot of people watch every year. We had planned to show it on July 4th at Maven Cinemas if we had been able to be open that day. We had it booked, so that at least has to count for something because we just love it. It's so great, just great everything. Special effects, storytelling, characters, action, comedy, drama, all the things.
Yes. Yeah, and I feel like this was, so when we were younger, just to throw it out there, Will Smith became summer blockbuster guy.
He was basically the name.
It was every summer there was a Will Smith blockbuster, and it started, this was one of them, and then we got the Men in Black franchise, and that definitely solidified it. Will Smith, he's been one of our heroes for a very, very long time. We grew up with him as a hero in so many ways, shape, and form.
And there's so many other stars. Of course, Jeff Goldblum was well established in the sci-fi genre by this point. The Fly. I want to say he was in one of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I'm pretty sure. And of course, Jurassic Park. So he just seemed like a natural choice for a sci-fi that was as epic and as huge as this. He's just as darling as he is in all of those.
Pretty sure he's also in Earth Girls Are Easy.
Yes, that was another sci-fi fantasy.
Jim Carrey, a very young Jim
guys,
Carrey,
if you want to really be pulled back into the 80s.
Serious throwback.
Go watch that movie.
Serious throwback.
You will live the world of the 80s for 90 minutes.
It's amazing.
Yep. And of course we have the most amazing president to ever be on screen, and his very famous speech, I'm sure, has just been played every year.
Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman. He's the president that you just always hope could actually be president. We've of course had some fabulous presidents for real in our history.
Bill Pullman did a great job. I also, throwing it against Kevin Kline and Dave.
Kevin Kline and Dave is my true. I know that a lot of people, of course, love President Bartlett in West Wing as well, and he also is great, President Goals. But I have to acknowledge that Kevin Kline and Dave, we showed that during election week, the first month we were open as Maven Cinemas. I'm here to tell you, it is worth watching. It is so funny and so charming and delightful. And it gives you, president goals of what you hope you'll see, in whichever person is leading our country, which obviously changes every few years, obviously. But Dave.
And obviously, Bill Pullman had endeared us in so many ways to his charm and his guy next door looks.
Kevin Kline and Bill Pullman. They did so great. And again, I cannot emphasize enough how iconic that speech has become. And of course, it's not just because there's like powerful music that's undertone, and it's not even just his performance. He certainly has a great performance, but I think that those words, let's give a shout out to those script writers, the actual words that he shares with us. The fact that he says, this used to be such an American iconic date, and now today, this is something that we can always remember is going to unite us as a planet. And I think that those are things that we would love to see in our own world. Like, what can we be doing to unite ourselves and be more connected and just united on all of these we all have shared goals of peace and love and productivity and fulfillment. We all want those, whatever that looks like in your world, in your chapter, wherever you live in the world. But such a great speech. But I have to acknowledge that of all the fantastic performers in this film, the one that I actually love the most, even though she has one of the smallest roles, is Vivica Fox as Jasmine. I don't know what it was about watching it, because again, I watch it every year. I watch it every summer. But there was something about watching it this last time that I was like, man, I know we've got a lot of heroes in this film, but we have got to give a shout out to Vivica Fox as Jasmine. She is just so freaking fierce. Yeah. And she is everything you would hope you would see in any citizen if they're dealing with crisis or an alien invasion. Because she just gets straight to it. First of all, she's the one that's like, okay, so something's not all right. Will Smith is like, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. And she's
it's
like,
fine.
No. Something is wrong here.
It's okay. Calm down.
And she's like, excuse me, no. Mm-hmm. And of course, she's a mom, so she's trying to make sure her baby gets to stay safe.
Also why I feel like we do get a little bit, we get called extra, but we're like, excuse me. I made that person. Like, yes, I get to protect that person. So don't tell me if I'm worrying too much or not.
I want to keep them safe.
I do love saying that, yes, I made them myself about my children. She goes into mama mode. And she's like, this is survival. We are doing this.
Yeah. You know, when she looks behind her, like, at first it's just a typical California traffic jam. I got to get to the safe place because I have been given the green light. I can go to this military base. And that's probably the best I can possibly do. I negotiated my way into a base, and we got to get there. But when, my heavens, she looks in that rearview mirror, and there is just a wall of fire coming towards them. I can't even imagine. I'm sure that everything that was happening to her as a character at that point was just pure adrenaline. She got out of that car as fast as she could. She got her kid out of the car as fast as she could. She's running. There's other people, other cars. There's a lot of physical obstacles. She's yelling for the dog. She's got to save the dog too because we got to protect our fur babies too. And everyone else is running and she sees. I think she clicks with it before anyone else around her does. We will not make it through this tunnel in time. Mm-hmm. This wall of fire is moving faster than we can. And of course, again, pure adrenaline, she turns and sees this door, and it does not matter that it's got a lock on it. She knows that's her only chance. And that pure mama bear force, she kicks and kicks and kicks, gets that door open, gets the dog in there. She's got him crouching down. And they're the only ones in that area that survive. And it's because she was so like on it and all right, I gotta save my baby. I gotta save both my baby.
We're making sure to mention the other actors and the gentleman.
Like Katara. Can we talk about how Katara is in this film?
That's so...
I love that Katara is this film. Can we also talk about how Jane is in this film?
That would be our Avatar Airbender reference.
Yes, the whole like, I have an admission to make. Absolutely. I'm sleeping next to a beautiful brunette. Yes. And it's little baby Katara.
It's little tiny
I love that. And then when we get to the military base, we've got Data from past characters, and then Jane, that where we will see in Firefly in a few years. So I do love that we get to revisit those incredible performers. Yeah. In addition to Vivica Fox, she is great, and so are many others.
A fun throwback.
Yeah.
And Judd Hirsch,
for sure. Oh my gosh! Can we just talk about how much we love him?
And
he's so
great. For our generation, let's be very clear that Judd Hirsch was kind of dad for a lot of our generation.
And I appreciate that we get that moment that I do think would be fairly realistic. Not that I believe we'll have an alien attack anytime soon, but you never know. But in this scenario, you're facing like a literal worldwide crisis. Mm-hmm. And so you've got the people who their role is to go out and fight the danger that's coming, but then there's everybody else who that's not their role. So what do you do? What do you do while you're just sitting there and you don't know what to do? And so he, of course, he's been kind of estranged from his religious beliefs. If I remember correctly, since his wife passed, he's just been kind of angry with God and just not really practicing. But he pulls out his yarmulke and he puts that right on and he pulls out his scripture. And you start to have people kind of gathering around, and you've got a couple other representations that show up, and they're basically doing the whole like, okay, this is literally all we know to do, so this is what we're going to do. This is what keeps us calm. This is what is helping us process. This is what's helping pass the time until we know what's going on. Mm-hmm. I remember that I had a grandmother who had converted to Judaism when my mom was only 16, I think. And I remember as she was like getting in, like well into her third act of life, she used to say jokingly, but I knew she kind of meant it, where she said she was so glad she had so much representation in her family. She liked to call herself the Jewish Brady Bunch because she had her 3 Jewish stepchildren, and then she had a daughter who had converted to Catholicism, and then she had us. And so she used to say, I've got it all covered. Whatever the ticket is to get in, I've got it somewhere in my family. And again, I knew she meant that jokingly, but there was also, I think, a little part of her, and as she did get to that last several hours of her life, I do remember that little bit of anxiety. And I actually remember having a conversation with her just literally in those last few moments of her life about reminding her of all the good she did in her life, and her ability to just kind of like be calm and take those last few breaths, which was just so big. But that's the same kind of a thing that's going on with these characters here, of they don't know if they are on the edge of being done with life, and if they are, like, what's happening next. And that would be a very big and intense thing to experience, and there's certainly plenty of people in our world that have experienced that. There's conflict going on the other side of the world. I had my own very short version of it. I lived in Hawaii when that missile warning went out, and there was about half hour where everyone thought there was an incoming missile, and you're on a little rock in the middle of the ocean. Like, what can you do? And you are facing the what do I do if this is real? So those situations can happen. Maybe you're experiencing some kind of trauma, something where your life is in danger. And I do appreciate that we get nice modeling from this of the choice that, okay, we're in this crisis mode. We're going to stay calm, and we're just going to lean into what makes sense to us in this moment that does not make sense.
Well, and I think we talked about it with Everything Everywhere All at Once, but the idea of the mom identifies, I would want to be next to you. And I think that's why disaster movies like this, and classically we had disaster movies prior to this in Hollywood, and then we've had some after.
Day After Tomorrow, that's one of my favorite world-ending films.
Yeah, that it's a common thing to have these disaster films. And the idea of what it tells us is exactly that, is that when you are uncertain of the future, what do your priorities shift to? And the idea that on the day-to-day, we end up going to work, doing the thing. If somebody is worried, we minimize it because it's not that big a deal. We don't want to raise
the stress level.
Because we're just kind of going through this constant of maintaining the status quo and what is proposed as safe and ideal for our society to keep functioning smoothly with the least amount of stress, the least amount of disturbance. So the reality that crisis like this on a global scale turns into this reality of Vivica A. Fox travels the country to essentially try to make it to Will Smith. Will Smith also being tied to an idea of safety because he was a military member, right? But that idea of, let me go to one, where my person is, and two, the fact that her person is of the group of people who would be trying to keep things safe and probably therefore in safe places, which, to be fair, as a military spouse, that's a pretty real concept, Because when we were living in Germany, the Kosovo stuff was going on, and it was very interesting because I remember sitting in our home in Germany, which was not on a military installation, and headline news starts talking about embassy bombings and all these things, and they were like, any Americans abroad, please be safe. And I'm sitting there like, great,
that's me.
This is my literal home. Like, how am I supposed to change that right now? So
when your home isn't safe, that's a really intense experience.
And it is interesting being in the middle of it, and that's why it's so, like you said, Hawaii. And it was interesting because when Russia invaded the Ukraine, initially I was working in a mental health facility. It was interesting the responses that people had, like they were going to get bombed. We're in Omaha, Nebraska. We're landlocked, and we are the hardest to get to from an outside entity.
And you see that in Independence Day because the aliens purposefully choose, it's a strategy. You get that imagery with the chess game that is being played by Jeff Goldblum's character, but they choose all, they go to London, they go to New York, they go to Moscow, they go to Egypt. So they're very strategic. I mean, those of us from our generation and older experienced a very small version of this as well when we, lived through September 11th and all of the emotional processing that had to happen for so many members of our country, because the terrorists who attacked our country did the same thing. They attacked New York, they attacked the DC area, and then there was one other intended target. But we did live through that. And it is true, it would be the bigger major areas that are usually more high risk than something like you said, landlocked Nebraska. So
in the Midwest.
Yeah. So it's certainly, things that people have lived through.
Right. And I mean, the idea that 9/11 was the first time that American soil had been attacked since World War II.
Yeah, literally
was why it was so shattering.
And honestly, even watching this film, you do get that little remembrance, which just really gets you at your heartstrings, where after that initial New York attack, you're seeing the two towers still mostly standing with the alien ship over it, and the top portions of each building are on fire. And so that is a moment that every year when I watch it, it's like, gosh, we had no idea in 1995. We had no idea.
Aliens is the worst thing we thought might happen. Let's be real.
Guys, so if you take anything away from movies, it's just get yourself as prepared as you can without falling so deep into it that you're not living your life to the fullness and grasping the moments that are at hand, right now. But and I do love that about Vivica Fox's character as well, is not only is she just the coolest mom ever that problem solves and gets her kid into that little room, but the second that the attack is over, what is the first thing she does? She doesn't just grab her kid and beeline it by herself. She finds a truck and she just starts driving around, and she's purposely scanning the area to see if there is anyone else that she can help. And I just hope that, whatever crises we may ever live through, I hope that we could emulate that behavior, that, if we are going through some type, whatever that crisis is, it could feel like one internally, or it could be a real one, but, to look around and see who is around me that I can lift up, who can I help? Of course, she winds up helping the First Lady. But even then, even when she does, she's so classy, she doesn't even make a big deal about it. She doesn't tell her for a long time that she recognizes and knows who she is. So she's literally showing class and grace all the way through. So I know we don't get to see a lot of her, but she is, I feel, one of the coolest characters in this film by far.
For sure. She's definitely a great contribution and an example and role model of citizens being responsible and accountable and survival, and not looting, not going crazy, but having a priority and a mission and achieving it, and also helping others along the way. So helpful. So so important to see that role modeled in a successful way. If our world ended, what would we do? And it shows all of the gross things that people might try to do in order to maintain survival without the larger scale systems that we have in place, which is so interesting, because we complain about those systems all the time.
Oh, yeah.
All the time. Yet the reality is, what would we do without them? So it's an interesting contrast.
And there are some countries that live that every day.
I believe it was Abraham Lincoln, but united we stand, divided we fall.
That's right.
That idea of we are safer in numbers. We are definitely a species that benefits from our success working together for one goal rather than working separately for a million tiny goals. So
for sure. Yay. Well, we love this movie, and we will certainly watch it every year on July 4th. Yes, we will.
I can't make that promise, but she'll do it for us. Yeah, she'll do it for us. I love that.
Amazing. Well, we are so grateful that you came and joined with us again today, and we are excited to hear what you think. Do you love this movie? This movie did technically get a sequel about 25, 30 years later. If you want to share how you feel about that film, you're welcome to. But yes, such a great classic action. I do feel like it set the tone for a lot of the action that we saw come out of Hollywood over the next decade. Yeah, just so iconic, classic Hollywood. Just a really great patriotic film that can help us to, celebrate the season and be reminded, like Bill Pullman tells us, that we need to be united, that we will not go down without a fight, and we will stand up for what's right, and we can reach out and protect and save one another. And that is what it means to be here and be an American, for sure. Yay! Well, thank you guys so much. We can't wait for next time when we talk about more awesome movies. Thanks again, guys. Bye!